Grand Awakening Goddesses and Awakened Gods. It's your goddess here, Goddess Life, the people's goddess, giving insight and wisdom on spiritual technology and practical techniques for today's modern goddesses and awakened gods to manifest the desires of your heart into your physical 3D experience. Always keeping it sage and hood. I inspire you to master your power to manifest your intentions that were set with clarity. I am your favorite manifest enthusiast. This new video today marks a new era. It marks a new time for Goddess Life. It marks some expansion for what I initially began 3 years ago. This portion or this episode is going to be the first episode of GLB Spillin diviniTea. And I've got some divine tea to spill for you today. Okay. I want to talk about, oh, and I also will be doing a card throw on my Delphi Oracle Healing Tarot channel here on YouTube as well. So hit that like button, subscribe, go over to my other channel. I will be uploading some energy readings as it pertains to pop culture and some general collective readings as well. So go over there, please, if you will, if you if you want to hear some insightful spirit guided tarot and oracle readings that's going to talk about the energy of what's going on today. So what is going on today? Exactly today, let me tell you what things are happening today. We are in full moon in Scorpio energy, actually today. Energy of water, of a water sign that's mysterious, a water sign that's secretive. And it is actually the subject of my first pop culture deep dive into Sean P. Diddy Combs, who is also today beginning a trial with the witnesses. From what I understand, they have his jury selection that kind of went a little bit longer than they had initially anticipated, but now the jury is selected in place and the hearing has already begun with the witnesses. The first witness that is coming to be heard is a security guard. He was a security guard at the time of his interaction with Sean P. Diddy Combs, allegedly, during an incident at the hotel where he was working, where we saw the footage of the infamous Cassie altercation, right? So what's interesting about today on a spiritual note, this trial is actually beginning today for Sean P. Diddy Combs, who has been accused of very heinous deeds. There have been alleged abuses and where he has been drugging people, allegedly, and there's just been a lot of hundreds, if not thousands even, I think, which is crazy. If I'm not mistaken, his sun sign is Scorpio. So that makes it interesting that today is the day that this trial is beginning, and it is also in the full moon. So a full moon energy is illuminating, it's enlightening, it's going to cast light in darkness. So I find that all very spiritually delicious, that this is the day marks the beginning, hopefully, of the downfall of someone who has literally been referred to on several accounts by many people as the literal devil. I want to get more into like the spiritual aspects and spiritual energies of what's going on today. Not only is the full moon fully cooperating, we've got witnesses who have endured torture, allegedly, according to them, coming back many moons later, many years later, coming to tell their story in a court jury, with the jury and a judge and spectators. This is arguably the biggest court case hearing, at least since OJ Simpson, and we got to be inside for that. We don't even get to be inside for this one, but everybody is glued to every outlet that is giving information about what's going on in this trial on the other side of the doors that are without picture media, no videography, no nothing. So we're going based on what the court reporter is saying. After all this time, after all these years, people are still willing to come out and share their story. And that's a lot of courage. That takes a lot of um, energy to want to set the record straight, to want justice to be done for judgment. Now, speaking of judgment, I also happen to feel like that this outcome of this trial is going to have a lot to do with the judgment of our nation. I feel like, as a matter of fact, let me put it to you like this. I was listening to a video earlier, and they had a caller come on, a male vlogger or whatever, and he had a male caller come on. The male caller was like, "Yo, free Diddy," like off the rip, right? And you're free to feel how you feel about it. But the things that have been alleged about this person, I don't see how anybody could come out their face and say free Diddy. But this man felt like that, and he's entitled to feelings or whatever, right? So he says that, and he's like, this is a story of consenting adults, and he only thing that Diddy is guilty of is being a swinger. Now, if you've been following this story, he's been accused of raping and assaulting and drugging people and torturing. Allegedly, he has been accused of imprisonment, sounds like, having abductions. Right now, the feds have charged him with sexual trafficking, and he stands accused of that as well. So, regardless of how you feel about the Cassie Ventura story, it just goes to show that if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, it's just something that's been said like in biblical scripture, and it's clear that everybody doesn't have it. Discernment is not a free for all. You know what I'm saying? This particular caller only is focused, or maybe he hadn't heard or hadn't been enlightened on the rest of the stuff that this man has been accused of raping and assaulting men, women, and children. He's an equal opportunity rapist, as far as we are being told, allegedly. And the first thing that this person wants to get out in public and say is free this person. Free him, free this person. So it kind of reminds me of two things. It kind of reminds me, number one, of the biblical story of Barabbas. This was during the Jesus time, the Roman Empire, and the Sadducees or whatever. There was this big situation about who we should free. Should we free Jesus Yeshua at the time, Jesus, who was, you know, wanting to do right and correct things that he didn't think was correct in the religious sector, or should we free this person who is clearly Barabbas was a criminal. He was clearly a criminal. He was clearly being, punished for things that he had done, had been found guilty, was in prison. Make long story short, they voted to free the madman. He couldn't believe it himself, I'm pretty sure. And so that is a telltale sign of a nation that's in trouble, that's sick. Now, I'm not saying that this caller that I was referring to earlier, came out and said anything that was, the majority opinion. I hope not. I hope not. But for men still in this day and age, or anyone, to take the side of somebody who, by all accounts, is the devil, allegedly, you know, and you take up for them and say, essentially that the victims involved encouraged this behavior, welcomed this behavior, and participated willingly, is a damn stupid thing to say. It was just dumb. And I just shook my head. I couldn't even listen to his voice anymore after that. Because if it was consensual, allegedly, there was some drugging being done. They were being slipped something in a beverage, allegedly. Many of these victims have come forward and said that they weren't in control of their faculties. They were not in control of their body movement or their free will. So if you put somebody in that state, and it's progressive, it gradually comes on. So in the beginning you might be able to still speak or say words, but by the time that the drug has fully taken effect, from what I understand, you might be laying in a conscious sedated state of being where you have no control over what's being done to you. So if there was some sort of verbal, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I am not a attorney. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Okay. I am giving my opinion as it relates to this call that I heard earlier from this guy who sounds like a fucking idiot. But if initially someone is giving in or verbally, responding in the affirmative, if they've been being drugged, if they're afraid for their lives or for their future, or if everything that they've ever worked for is in jeopardy at this time, I mean, it's at very least coercive, wouldn't you say? I mean, I wouldn't count that as 100% consensual agreement to do things that by most accounts of victims, they had not come there to do. So I feel like this is judgment of our nation as it pertains to this case and the outcome of it. And it's holding a mirror reflection up to our nation, up to our culture, as to what exactly is on the minds and hearts of the people at a time where we are being challenged with such governmental and social chaos that it is very difficult to, stay focused on one thing at a time, as we're trying to, first of all, survive. Grand awakening, we are trying to survive, we are trying to thrive, and we are trying to be safe. And right now, what we're seeing really, in all accounts, looks to me like trials and tribulations. So anyway, I'm going to keep following up on this case. I'm going to hear what all the witnesses that they get to today have to say. My protective and love energy is with those witnesses. This has got to be a very difficult and frightening thing to go through. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to come forward, especially after so much time has passed, and such stories of endured humiliation and embarrassment. It takes a lot. And so my heart goes out to those people. And I hope that justice is served. And I hope that, the judgment goes in favor of the victims. So I will be keeping you updated and dropping divinity. And this is something that we are in a time where it says, even though this case and what we'll be discussing is physical ramifications, there's spiritual meanings behind it. There's spiritual energy behind it. It's the not in the flesh that we're having this war. It's a spiritual war. It's a war over our energy. It's a war over our minds, our thought process. It's a war over how we feel about protecting the vulnerable. It is a war about how do we rectify wrongs. It is a war about what is considered wrong. What is wrong? And how do we, protect what is right? So we're going to be going through these things. Like I said, head over to my card throw, and we're going to talk about some more energies over there with the help of spirit. And I just want to wrap this up by saying it's time for us to all take a stand. It is time for us to speak out. If you have something on your heart to do, if you have a purpose or a calling and you know what that is, it's time to come forward with that. This is the energy that is welcoming for righteousness. This is the time where we are separating the wheat from the tare, and being vocal and being heard, being just as courageous as these people are, that's going to be taking a stand in the upcoming days, sharing their tales of horrific acts and a post-traumatic existence since then. It's really admirable, and we should all be so inspired. So I am signing off for now. GLB Spillin diviniTea, and until next time, goddesses bless.